Hello, Dr. T again. I am going to share some instructions on using IvyPay. I have been using IvyPay for electronic invoices for a while, and my interns are now using it. Some of you may not have known that with IvyPay, you can invite your interns or other employees to your group practice on IvyPay. IvyPay was created, at least based on what I was told, built by therapists, and it is a HIPAA encrypted and encrypted in general um, billing platform for specifically for behavioral health professionals. So I use IvyPay outside of my EHR. And there are a few steps to creating your electronic invoices. So I'm going to walk you through the steps. Honestly, it is pretty easy, but I'm going to walk you through it a little bit. All right, so hopefully you can already see what IvyPay looks like on Google Play. If you have an Apple device, it should be very similar in the App Store, but you will need to, there are a few functions um, on that you can use on browsers, but for the most part, the convenience of it is using the app. So this is what the app looks like in the App Store. So for those of you who are you own a group practice, maybe I need to do a separate video on to show you how to access the group practice function in there. But essentially, you'll want to add your interns or your contractors, their information in the app so they can get an invitation to create their account under your practice. All right, but we're specifically focusing on the electronic invoices. So again, download the app, right? And when you have done that and created your account, this is essentially what it will look like to create your first electronic invoice and future electronic invoices, right? So you're going to log in with your customized passcode on the app. And to create an electronic invoice, you want to make sure that you have your client preferred mobile number. I actually ask for that information in my onboarding documentation. So you'll want to make sure that you have a mobile device, a phone number that they can receive text from. So make sure you have your client's name clearly and their mobile number. And in the app, you're going to click on New Client in the bottom here. And then you'll see a page that looks like this one. So here in this page, you're going to enter a few things. Your client's mobile number, your client's initials, and specific session details connected to the invoice that you're going to be sending, right? So you'll enter all of those things, how much. Typically for the first session, if you're doing an intake or a first session, you may actually choose no here on this section that asks about having the CPT code and the diagnosis. You may not necessarily have the diagnosis yet. So you can choose no here if you would like, that's fine. I do encourage folks to include the good faith estimate from the very beginning, even that first session. One of the great things about IvyPay is they it is a built-in function in the app that allows you. They will create an electronic what is that? Good faith estimate for you in the app, and they'll send that to your client. All right. So IvyPay should be the default selection here if you're actually sending an electronic invoice in IvyPay. If you have your client has paid through cash already or have paid through a check, you can actually use choose that function, and it'll just record your income for you, right? So your client won't necessarily get an invoice, but they will get a receipt that uh, the session has been paid through cash or check. But if you're sending an electronic invoice for them to pay for the session, you'll want to make sure that IvyPay, which it should be there by default, just make sure that one is highlighted. And then you're going to click here where it says charge, right? Which is going to take you to the next step in this process. So again, typically if you clicked yes on that first page, it'll bring you here for that first session to create your good faith estimate. So it's going to use these details to create the good faith estimate for you. All right. I'll also say once you have sent this document to your client, this page won't come up every time, right? Unless you do have the ability to edit your good faith estimate later if you need to do that, right? So then on this page, I'll typically include my regular fee. This is just an example here. So whatever your fee is, right? 150, whatever, 200, 250, I don't know. Your regular session fee, and I typically enter bi-monthly because a lot of my clients will, for the most part, will go bi-monthly. If you're used to meeting with your clients every week, put weekly on there. So what are your expectations for how frequently you'll meet with this particular client? Put that choice there. Include your EIN or whatever your tax number is and your NPI number, NPI 1 or 2. And again, it's going to ask you for a CPT code. So what's your fee for this particular CPT code, right? So if you have a different fee for a different CPT code, then you can edit that and send a different good faith estimate. I usually use a 3-month estimate just based on how long I typically meet with my clients, and I want to give kind of an average estimate, not a high or low estimate, but kind of an average. So I use the 3-month estimate. So essentially, this is going to give the client, if I meet sessions twice a month at $25 each session, that's $50 a month. Over the course of the 3 months, how much money am I expecting to pay? Right? That's essentially what the good faith estimate is. So sometimes I have a custom message that I add letting clients know this is just an estimate based on the pieces of information that I have available at the time. Whatever. If you want to put in custom message there, you can. That's up to you. All right. So once you have put all of your information on here, then you're going to click on continue, right, at the end of the page. And it's going to bring up the draft of the good faith estimate. right? Give you an idea of what that looks like. So you're going to click continue again here. All right, and then it's going to ask you to add your signature to the good faith estimate, and then you're going to save and continue here. All right, moving right along. Yeah. So then it's going to take you back to your original invoice. And if you clicked yes on that first page that asked about the CPT code, if you click yes there, it's going to bring you here to this part of the receipt. And so this is going to ask you to specify the diagnosis. Again, if you choose no on that first page, it won't bring you here, and you won't have to put the diagnosis information in there. All right, so for the diagnosis information, there's a search that you can use. So you can type in anxiety, right? And it will pull up general anxiety, F41, F41.1, for example, right? Adjustment disorder, right? Whatever, depression. If you don't know the code, um, don't have them memorized, just use the search. You can add a few. I don't know if there's a limit. I think at the most I do two. But it will have the diagnosis options there. And so just check whichever ones you want to add, which ones that are going to show up should have the little green circle with a check on it. Once you're done and you have all of your diagnosis, you're going to click confirm again. I know you have to continue and confirm a few times, but that's okay. So then that's going to bring you here to the CPT details from the receipt specifically. And so here you're just going to double check all of the information that is accurate, because this is what is going to show up in your the invoice essentially and the receipt, right? So double check the CPT code that you're using and the diagnosis code that you wanted to include, your name. For my interns, since they will fall under my practice, my name will automatically be on there, and I just add that I'm supervising and whoever the intern is, right? If you have a contractor, you can add them in there however you would like. My address, if it's a telehealth visit, click yes. If it's not, no. Whatever your credential is, PhD, LMST, LPC, LMSW, whatever it is, right? It'll pop up. And again, your EIN or whatever your tax number is, and the NPI information. And so typically, once you put this information in there for your future invoices, these will be automatically uh, preloaded for you. All right. So if everything looks good, right, then you'll want to click continue. Anything that's not correct, change it at this point. So then you will sign again for the overall invoice and receipt, right? You're going to click on the save and continue here. And then it's going to bring you to this pre-confirmation page that says, hey, we're about to send this invoice, right? Is the information correct? So the date for the session, the length of the session, the mobile number that it's going to, right, confirm all of that. Just double check, make sure it goes to the right person. And then if everything looks okay, you're going to confirm, right? And so then from there, you'll get a confirmation that says, hey, you have this charge, this invoice has been sent, and then you can enter note. Uh, Nothing clinical here, in my opinion. Don't put anything clinical here. But If you want to save any kind of notes here, you can, right? So typically, I only include information here related, like financial related information, about the charge, the fee, if it's sliding scale, for example, things like that. I'll put that here, but that's pretty much it. All right. So then when you're done with that, click done, and you'll get the congratulatory message in the app, which is cool. Like, oh, all your notes are done, yay! Which I love because how many of us are behind in our notes? Now, with that, because I know for me, I was always like, well, I've had clients who have said, well, I didn't get a text, I never got this, send it again. So, for those of you who are wondering, okay, what does my client actually get, right? So, this is what the text will look like. More than likely, it will come from this number. And they may have a few different phone numbers. For my account, this is the number that it comes to, right? And this is what the message can look like. You've been invited to use Ivy to accept and pay for your session. Put your card on file. Click here. Hey, really nice, right? One thing that I will tell you here is you can click on the link for your client, let them know, click on the link. They can also copy that link and put it in the browser on their laptop, for example, and they can enter the information there. It will work in a browser as well. I have so many clients who are like, oh, I don't really do all this technology stuff. Or they don't like clicking on links in text messages. So I try to let them know in advance you're going to get in a text. It's coming from IvyPay. It is legitimate. And you'll need to pay this invoice before you schedule your next session. So, so this is what the text looks like. They can click here in the text, or they can copy the link and put it in their browser. If they do that, this is what it will look like, right? Once you click on that link, it's just specifically going to ask just a few pieces of information. First name, last name, full name, right? Not just the initials, right? So full first name and last name, your credit card number, the CVC number, the expiration and zip code. That's it. Not the whole address, right? Very simple. All you've got to do is enter that information, right? Pretty, pretty simple. Yeah. Uh-huh. And then they're just going to continue, submit, done. I'm not sure which one it is. There's a button at the bottom. Just click it, right? And then from there, your client is going to get a confirmation message. It won't say cancel. It will say here, the charge, you are currently being charged for this session. This is an example of what it looks like if you end up canceling a charge in the app, right? So your client will get a confirmation when they put a payment method in there and the uh, session is charged, or if you go back and cancel a charge, they're going to get a confirmation that looks a little bit like this, just so you know, and so they know that they should have had confirmation, right? And then you can click done, and that will close your stuff all out, right? So that's IvyPay. It is pretty simple. It's just a few different screens. And once you do it a few times, I feel like it's pretty easy and you get used to the steps because it's just a few couple of steps. All right. So hopefully that helped. Um, and again, maybe I'll do a separate one for the function if you are adding someone uh, under your practice. Maybe I'll see if you can do that. But let me know what your experience with IvyPay has been. I've had a couple of tickets that I've sent to Ivy for different reasons, and they're pretty responsive. When I need documentation, I usually get the documentation pretty easily. But I would love to hear what your experience has been with working with IvyPay. All right, and if you know of other platforms that are HIPAA encrypted and that work well for behavioral health professional, but it's outside of an EHR, like an independent. Um, I've used Wave, um, PayPal, things like that. So if you know of other options, let me know. Oh, and I will include my IvyPay um, link because you can get used to they would offer you like $1,000 of invoices for free or something like that. So I'll include my IvyPay link on that as well. All right. Enjoy the rest of your